Hey guys, it's Matt. Enacting the rule of opposites, it seems as if this universe, the solar system, the planets, the stars, whatever this thing is called Earth, has been here forever, right? When I was in grade school, the age of the universe, they would tell us 3 to 4 billion years. Then we've been over this recently. Then somehow it went to 7 or 8 billion. And then it went presently to 13 billion, and they're already working in it could be up to 20 billion. And then, of course, when we come back 5 years later, it could be 40 billion. For some reason, the false reality has to keep increasing the age of the universe, which is just made up. They probably went to Terrence Howard and asked him. It's all made up anyway, so it doesn't matter. It's not like we're really discovering, or anybody's really discovering, that it's older. Although the scientists at Cambridge and Harvard and Oxford and Yale that are discovering it are making $800,000 a year, and I'm sitting here thinking about if I can get the third slice at Rocco's today. But enacting the rule of opposites, okay, it tells us it's been here forever. The point is, it's been here. You have this little lifetime. Here's the chart. You're this little blip. Aren't you lucky to live along? Here's the chart. The dinosaurs are back here 70 million years ago, and before that, the protoplasm and that became you in the bowl of goo, and then here's you. Oh, and then here's the future. You're just so lucky to be alive right now. The rule of opposites would say then it's the opposite of that. That everything it could be an entire reality constructed for just us, or almost 1 or 2 generations or 3 generations, and that's it. Now, that's a little bit strange, and I'm not really prepared to dive into that. But one thing that actually supports that notion is, get this. I was thinking about this a lot recently. Only truth researchers ages 40, say, to 80, 40 to 70, will be able, over the next 20 years, be able to understand reality. Even right now, the AI is blurring history. It's blurring everything. You don't know what picture is real, what video is real. The outer ring of reality via the screen, what it presents, things like what we just looked at. Was Teddy Roosevelt? Did that really happen or not? Fluid reality, whatever your belief is, even if you don't believe in any of that Mandela effect stuff or fluid reality stuff, you would still say, if you're here with us now, that the screen is inserting false history or inserting changes to what we considered real history. So everything's being blurred. So literally, if you're the only group that will understand reality of anybody that's ever came before us, or anybody that will ever come after us, especially those that will come after us. I can't really speak of those that will come before, but the farmer in the field in 1820, I'm sorry, just didn't have access to the information that we have access to. And the farmer in the field in 1820 didn't see the breakdown of reality that we see, didn't see it expose itself. That farmer in the field could have looked up at the eclipse, and we've done this many times. Honey, this is great news. This place ain't real. Look, that's impossible. So maybe few came to that realization, but let's just leave it would be pretty hard to understand reality without the information or the platforms that we have to share this and that on. So in the past, I'm sorry, they 99.9, and just take the decimal out, they didn't understand. And we have an opportunity right now to basically understand what's going on here. But what about 20 years from now, if you're not a truth researcher? I mean, right now, the AI is blurring history and what is real, and what a person is, and what's real and what's fake, and it's already, and the AI is brand new. Imagine what it'll be like 10 to 15 years. So when I said, if the only group, this is a bold statement, the only group that has a chance of understanding reality in the history of existence, some of us here think this reality has only been here 100 years or less. Some believe it's been here thousands, tens of thousands. Nobody believes, if you're here, you don't believe what the scientists say, that it's 13 to 20 billion years old that came from an explosion in space. That's ridiculous. But we have different. But if the only group that has a chance to understand reality is a bold statement. Truth researchers that are between the age, say, 40 and 70. Now, there's a lot of 25-year-olds here, but you don't have the context. I'm sorry. If you were 12 or 13 or 14 or 15 years old during the big day in September in 2001, you don't have the context. I mean, you'll understand a lot. And again, it's great that the young people that are here, they're way more advanced than I was, or many of us were, or you are, or I am, way more advanced. But in terms of completely understanding the big picture of what this reality is and what it's for and what once was, I'm not saying this properly, but it's hard to talk about. You don't have the context. You don't. You were too young. You don't remember what the last century was. You don't remember, if you're under age 35, what the last millennium was. It was a different reality. Literally, I'm not just saying that. Things were metaphysically different. So only truth researchers that have the context of what existed in the last century, the last millennium, that went through the big day, at least in their 20s. If you went through the big day when you're 12, it just doesn't. You're too young. You don't care. You don't care. Whatever. And so the only group that will have a chance to figure out reality is literally a group that's a truth research group, age basically 40 to 70. Now, again, to have the complete big picture with the context. The 28-year-old that's here is way more advanced than I was in figuring out reality and what the spiritual journey is all about. They're way more advanced than I ever was, and maybe than you were, but they just, in terms of the complete picture, they don't have the context from the last century or last millennium. So in terms of what we started with, all this, remember, we're just this little blip, right? We're lucky to be alive at this time, because there's hundreds of millions and billions of years before, millions, and the dinosaurs, and then millions of years in the future. And we're just like this. We lived during this little 75, 80, 85-year-old period, assuming we don't have any health issues. Aren't we lucky? Isn't this incredible that we're alive at this time? Well, the rule of opposites. If you tell me statistically the chances of me being alive at this time are 1 in hundreds and hundreds of millions, or of course, billions and billions. And that assumes your ancestors, going back to Monkey Man, made it in the right way and didn't run off with another male monkey or whatever. I'm talking about Darwin, bot. We all believe in Darwin here. We believe in every bit of it. Assuming if your one ancestor zigged instead of zagged, you wouldn't be here. Well, then the chances of you being here are, it seems like, in your form, in your current form, in your current body, or spirit matched with body. We'll leave it at that. 1 in hundreds of billions. Well, then, rule of opposites. The chances of you being here right now, it's 1 to 1, 100%. There was no chance you wouldn't be here at this time. It's always the rule of opposites. At least I'm going to stick with that until it's been proven wrong. And it's never been proven wrong. So, it's all here. Back to Wayne's diagram. It's all here. All the complexity. It's all here for me. It's all here for us. It may all be here for this 1 or 2 generations in this small 30 to 40 year window time period. So again, the person go back to 1910 or Brooks Hadlin in The Shawshank. Okay, I mean, assuming, let's say he got out a little early and he could go to libraries. Well, what's he going to understand about reality? He's going to go into the Catholic Church, right? And he's going to revere the Pope. he's going to read the newspaper and all those false lies about how this Brooks Hadlin, this thing called World War I, is brewing, and oh boy, it's because of Archduke Ferdinand. He's going to believe in that, and he doesn't have any chance. The old, going back 100 years or 200 years, what chance did they have to truly understand this construct, this reality itself? Don't talk with your hands with this microphone, Matt. They might understand that they're themselves. They might understand a lot about themselves, that they are a spiritual being here, and I'm more than this place. They, of course, even certain religion would help them, guide them into that understanding. But in terms of the reality and the big picture that we're starting to understand, they have no chance. The future is worse off, because if you're under 20 years old today or born today, the AI is already muddying up reality, and it's brand new. I guess I should just stop rambling and show you some pictures and some things that got me thinking about what I'm talking about here, and then maybe I'll come back at the end. We'll see. Now, who knows if what I just said made any sense to you? I'm not going to go back over it. I'm just going to leave it. But I will basically start again here at a much more basic level with examples. What do those three guys say in Do the Right Thing? He says, "Let me break it down for you, sweet Dick Willie." Let me break it down for you, starting with the absolute basics. I loathe Spike Lee, but I do like Do the Right Thing. Remember back in the day, the old truthers, we looked at this 12, 15 years ago. I know Russian Vids presented it many times. This famous quote, CIA Director William Casey, "We'll know our disinformation program is complete when like Lord Vader, when everything the American public believes is false." Now, is this a real quote? Let's forget whether it's a real quote or not, or whether he had to say it under the download. Reality, the dark part of reality, the not milk, has to do this, has to show us what's coming. And this is the best place to start in terms of making my prior point. Now, again, it could be inserted into reality. Did he really say it? Who would have recorded the quote? It doesn't matter. The dark part of reality has to put these sort of weird breadcrumbs forth for the few of us that will notice and use it as we're using it now 12 years in the future. We didn't really understand this when we looked at it 12, 13, 14 years ago. We'll know our disinformation program is complete when everything the American public believes is false. We thought, well, okay, what did we think? Let me put myself back in the old mindset of 12, 13, 15 years ago. First thing I thought, well, they've gone too far. Obviously, they're not going to be able to pull this off where everything the American public believes is false. I mean, that's just overstating. We talked about truth drops back in the day, and they're trying to give a truth drop. And, is this a real quote? I mean, I don't know exactly what we thought, but I do remember thinking, well, okay, maybe this is their goal or agenda, but they've gone too far. That's impossible. Well, we see it's very possible today, because we understand reality much better, that the outer ring is fluid, Mandela effects, fluid reality, things can change. The digital world, the AI that's coming, people stepping into a digital environment someday, or a brain chip, and not knowing they stepped into the digital environment. And if you're screaming at me that that's what already happened to us, yeah, I keep that on the table. Yes, of course. I'm not going to miss that one. It's not my first conspiracy video. Of course, I must keep that on the table, that we already stepped into it. And it's showing us, all the conspiracy people, it shows us the breadcrumbs that we like, and it shows it's of course, this is an unnatural place. It's a reality that's a conspiracy generation machine that no real world could do. Maybe we already stepped into it. That shouldn't scare you. It doesn't mean you're not a timeless spiritual being. It might mean we have a little more work to do, or it's a little bit more like the Shawshank that some of the YouTube channels present. But I'll keep all that on the table. I know it. Whenever I get a little concerned, and it's not very often these days, but I step back and say, I know 100% that I'm bigger than this place, and I existed before, and I'll exist after, and the existence will never go away, and that is very comforting. That's all I need to know for right now. Well, we try to know. We're trying to figure out. We're trying to figure out more than that in exercises like this. But okay, where the heck? I'm confused myself. Let's go back to the basics. So we thought, okay, I thought, well, they've overstepped, and there's no way they're ever going to achieve this. Well, now we see they can. This is just 12 to 15 years, 12 years later. This is doable for not little groups inside government, but for the not milk outer ring, asshole crack, asshole dark outer ring of reality. This is doable. We're not us. Okay, we're a tiny little group. I don't think they'll ever get to the point where we'll know our disinformation program is complete. The Death Star is complete. When that's a bad James Earl Jones / Darth Vader. When everything the American public believes is false. Well, we're technically the American public, and is everything I don't think they'll be able to get to us. I think we've carved ourselves out. And if anybody's stumbling upon this video, that's awfully arrogant, Matt. You and your little group here of ding-dongs, you and your little boat, your little lifeboat, oh, you're special, you got your armor, oh, yeah, everybody else is fooled but you guys. No, the difference between us and others is I will still keep on the table that we are fooled, but because I keep on the table that I'm being fooled, it gives me an advantage. The idiot that sits down and crunches popcorn in front of CNN and can't wait for Anderson Cooper 360. Is that idiotic show still come on? Crunch, crunch. I mean, they believe it all. They're not at an advantage because they believe it's real. At least I believe we're seeing through it, but I will keep on the table that we're being equally tricked. because I'm objective like that and I keep that on the table, it gives me an advantage of not being tricked. So yes, with the technology that's coming, the VR headsets, the brain chip, this just 10 to 12 years later, what we thought was the impossible. Come on, back in the day, the old guard here, you didn't think they'd truly be able to pull this off. They were overstating. It's a truth drop. They have to tell you what's coming. Those types of excuses is what we put forth when we saw this for the first time, presented by Russian vids or whoever. And now we see it's very doable. In fact, likely, if you exclude us from the strict definition of American public. All right, let me use this as the placeholder image to represent us and the truth researchers of today in making my presentation here. This was done by Paul. 3 warped images of me in an old presentation. Was it about money, guys? Do I remember the names? Yesup Thanos is the first one. That's me. The second one, Pierre de la Violette or something like that. And Nathan Fishman or Lawrence Fishman, that's Lawrence Fishburne, Nathan Fishburne or Fishman, something like that. Sorry, it's me, but 3 different, how the Mac will skew your face. I did this video years ago. So, but this represents us at truth researchers between, say, the ages of 40 and 75. I'm sorry, there's 80-year-olds here. I'm not including you because I'm saying I'm saying the group that will have the chance of understanding and coming out the other side whole and understanding reality 20 to 25 years from now. Okay, I probably will be gone, and I'm in my 50s now, so I'm sorry. You're probably not going to live to be over 100. So the group is very small. When they completely have the AIs locked everything down and people are taking the brain chip, I would say in 15 or 20 years, people will have stepped into whatever they're presenting as the digital world, and any chance to understand themselves or what reality was or what it is or what it's for the spiritual being will be gone if people go too far down the digital yellow brick road. So I'm saying, and I hear somebody screaming at me, Matt, 20 years, it'll be 5 years. It could be the way it's happening, 5, 7, 8 years. People here will never take the brain chip. We'll never go too far down the technology yellow brick road. Basically, what I'm saying is most people very soon will be lost in terms of understanding anything about who they are, what this reality is for. And I'm saying people in the past were mostly lost. The farmer in the field in 1850. What could he possibly understand about is not milk? And it's always, he just sees, he believes the king just is there because of title and he doesn't have access to the information. Again, some of these people may have a great understanding through a spiritual experience or something that happened to them or through their religion, whatever, where they understand the timeless nature of themselves. And that's fine, but they're not going to understand this big picture reality and what it's for. So what I'm saying is it's a bold statement. It is. I'll get to you 25-year-olds listening, or the young people now in a second, but it's the same thing I said in the last segment. You don't have the context from the last century. You know a lot, but you don't have the context, and that's a huge piece of the puzzle that you'll never be able to understand that people at 35, 45, 55, 65, 75 here have. Not including too many people over 70, because I'm saying what will we come out the other side 20 years from now when I'm not going to say it's going to happen in 5 years. I'm just going to be safe and say in 20 years, everybody here would agree that the average person on the street that's completely immersed in the digital world at that point, and many of which will have taken the brain chip or whatever, they've gone too far down the digital yellow brick road. Everybody here would agree there's no going. They will have no understanding of who they are, their spiritual selves. In 20 years, almost everybody will have lost the ability to understand what this reality is for. The Not Milk has been extremely successful in its endeavors, and I can only assume that success will continue. So the William Casey quote, the American public and the disinformation campaign is almost complete, where everything they believe is false. They're almost there now. It's been incredibly successful. Some truth channels just lie. We're about to win. The Hillary Clintons of the world are about to go off to jail. We're about to win. No, they always dangle the carrot that we're about to win. We're not supposed to win in this go-around. That's not what the reality's for. We're supposed to get our asses kicked here. That's what it's for. It's supposed to be low here. That's what it's for. Not supposed to enlighten ourselves and become a being of 4D or 5D. That's not what it's for. It's to get our asses kicked. There's misery. There's suffering. The heaven will always be here. The heaven will always be mixed in with the hell here. We, at least our little group, will always have the opportunity to find the heaven. Even if we can stand up without pain, take a few full breaths without pain, and walk to the window and watch the thunderstorm and the lightning bugs. That's better than any Hollywood movie. If you can't see that and can't create that sort of heaven for yourself, then you have a lot of work to do. Okay? If you're waiting for the new editions of Sandman to come on July 24th, as I am, but if you're waiting for that to be the heaven in your world and that's it, and you can't really function until the new episodes on Netflix Sandman come, I'm anticipating it too. I love the Sandman, but I will still be able to find the heaven if the Sandman series didn't exist. And yes, there was a small part I wasn't thrilled where they had a whole segment on the Transcontinental Railroad, and they said, "Oh," I went, "Oh no." But I'll talk about it later. It was a small segment, then they moved on. It was almost like they had to check the box. And the Neil Gaiman or whatever, the producers, they had to do it and move on. Sorry, let me get back to this. This is more important. The Not Milk has been incredibly successful. That success will continue. We're not about to win. That's not negative. It's real. That's fine. That's what this go-around's for. I mean, this is a little blip on our train stop. So what if we lose this time and this? Personally, you're not going to lose. In general, the utopian society where everybody's nice, and personally, we're not going to lose. I mean, I'm learning. I'm becoming thousands of things that I never thought were even possible. Becoming the person that my 25-year-old self wouldn't even recognize. But the people, there's a prison planet. No, you're not the same person you were. Therefore, we are winning, despite coming in Tommy, the deaf, dumb, and blind kid. If it was so unfair, how are we winning? Well, I'm not winning in general, okay? Not a societal win. Where all the Hillary Clintons and the Elon Musks go off to a gulag, and then, real rights are restored. And that's not going to happen. You can win personally. What about yourself? What about yourself? We worry about yourself. Yes, there are personal wins here, but you know what I'm talking about. The society win, what the truthers are lured into. We'll march them off to jail, and we'll have a new free society. It's all bullcrap. If anything, it's going to get worse. All right, forget everything I said. Let me put the pieces back together again in a little bit different way, and then hopefully it'll all come together. Let's just look at these examples, forgetting what I just said. Chat GPT brain rot is real. I didn't click on the video, but we see this all the time. People looking to the Chat GPT and the LLMs as some sort of real entity, and they're turning it into a religion of sorts. People are losing their husbands and losing their wives to the relationships they're developing already with the Chat GPT or the LLMs that present themselves as your companion or girlfriend, or the movie Her coming true. This AI stuff is brand new. It's already happening at exponential rates. Now watch this video. AI is permanently rewriting history, from the channel World War Wisdom. And most of it was about the endless amounts of AI pictures that are all over Facebook and other platforms that people are believing is real, and real events happened, and it's all made up. Now, he uses some bad examples like this where he says many of them you can just tell that this is an AI picture. Maybe somebody, like your great-grandmother, your grandmother wouldn't be able to tell. They don't know how to look for these things. But he's saying, look, even as bad as this is, in 3 years, it'll be all cleaned up. Every AI system that's not perfect in its resolution or its depiction of false history will be perfect in 2 to 3 years. So he's just using this as an example. Like, this one's bad, but he says, look at these. And it's just not just depicting pictures, starting to depict events in wars that just never happened. And it's all mixed in with supposedly real events on these platforms like Facebook, and it's just a big blur. And we're almost at the point now, and it will just go exponential in the next 2 to 3 years, where it's just a big blur where nobody will know what's AI and nobody will know what really happened. And if they see a painting of Pickett's charge. For now, guys, I don't want to get into that's not real either, Matt. I don't want to get into that. At some point, I need a benchmark or a basis to carry this conversation forward. I mean, if not, we have nothing. I can't sit up here and say nothing's real. Thanks for coming. See you tomorrow. I have to assume certain things are real, at least to make my points here. So don't tell me about fake history for the Civil War. I need to at least assume that's real to make the points I want to make, right? So someone said, well, that's a painting of somebody, in high school 5 years from now, a painting of Pickett's charge. That's AI, and just move on. No, that's supposedly real. So this guy in this video, the channel World War Wisdom, I'm not recommending it. I've watched 20 minutes of this video. I've never seen anything else. Who knows where he's coming from, but I like the points he was making, saying just Facebook, as he said, especially is a real villain here and a culprit, where they'll just allow even to monetize pictures, post any AI crap, and people are just, the AI's going crazy, posting all this stuff, and it's being passed off as real history, and it's just AI. So basically, the blur of what is real and what is not is already here to a degree. Imagine what it'll be like 5 years from now, which gets back to the point. Only people that will be able to truly understand reality, what it's here for, maybe what it once was, what it's supposed to be for the spiritual being, is this little tiny group between age 35 to 40 and 70 something, and only truth researchers. I'm not going to include the public or people down the street here that will sit down in front of CNN and believe it. They're already fooled in terms of what this reality is for. I'm not including them. So of all the let's just say history is real, or the timeline of this universe is real. So millions and millions of years in the past, all fooled, all had no chance to understand anything. You have a 40-year time period. That's it right now, and then, because everyone's going to be lost to the digital world going forward, they're gone. They have no chance of understanding who they are, what this reality is really for. Even the no consequences people would say, well, they might take the digital chip, Matt, but they can't lose the spiritual essence of themselves. Maybe they can't, but they're not going to understand what this reality is for. They're not going to use it for what it's supposed to be for. You think it's supposed to be to take the chip and lie down in front of an Elon Musk IMAX? Is that what the reality is for? Of course not. So, no consequences, people, that you might not be giving yourself away in terms of soul tokens. They might not be able to ever take the essence of who you are spiritually. Some people would say they can and will. Some people would say they can't. But there's a consequence, because the people in the future, they're not going to use the reality for what it's for, the way I think we're really doing now, and we're doing a good job now. And again, sorry if you're 27 listening to this. There's young people. Once again, not including you. You have the most important parts of the picture. You can do the worry about yourself activities. You understand who you are here spiritually in relationship to what the adversary, the not milk, or some would say the Satan, is trying to do to you and to block you. You have the most important parts, but you don't have all of it. You don't have the context of what existed in the last century, which was literally a different reality metaphysically. Here's another example. I didn't click on this video. I don't know who this channel is. I don't know this person, but there's probably just one example. There's thousands of these videos, I'm sure. AI is ruining history. And the one I did click on, that video, it's saying, remember, it was supposedly the real history of World War I, World War II, and the real pictures are right next to the fake AI pictures and the fake events inserted into real wars. And it's already blurred as to which picture is real and which event is real. He might be, and this is going back to the days of knights and armor and cavalry and castles. Who knows how AI is rewriting that history? I don't have time. I don't really care to click on it. But the point is, this is two examples amongst thousands where it's already happening. It will, go back to the Casey quote. Our disinformation campaign will be complete when everything the American public believes is false. We laughed at it 10 years ago. Well, that's just overshooting. That can't possibly happen. And it's 5 to 10 years away from happening. Absolutely incredible. One more example, but this one's totally different. This just popped up in front of me. The forgotten prehistoric war that killed 95% of all men. Extinct Zoo, 3.8 million views. Well, what's the first thing that we think in our community when we see something like this? I'm going to click on it and find out what really happened, or this is bullshit. Bullshit. I'm not going to click on this and waste my time. There's no forgotten prehistoric war that killed 95. I don't care what is said in the video. It's bullshit. I'm sure all you. But see, this is the stage where your friends and family may see something like this, and again, they still have the mindset that when something's presented, the person's done real research and it's mostly true, and they're trying their best. They're still of that mindset. So this is just before everybody in the public, which they will in 5 to 10 years, even the dumbest of the dumb will say, well, everything's AI, and I'm not sure what I can believe. They're not quite there. They're at the point where they'll click on bullshit like this. And again, I'm extinct zoo. That could be the nicest people in the world. I'm sorry, I don't know them. But this is just an example where those that have researched the truth of this reality, would see something like this and say, a war that killed 95% of all men. What a waste of time. What a bunch of bullshit. If you watch other truth research channels and they're not talking about the fake world, the way that I present it. No real world could do this. No real world could have pulled this off. So many events, so many presentations, so many people would have to be in on it. Fake world, fake reality. That you can still agree with me about that, and you don't have to go as far as I do with fluid reality at the outer ring, Mandela effect. You can say, well, Matt, I'm not going to go that far. That's bullshit, and you may disagree with me there, but I don't think you'd be here if you didn't, in some sense, see where we agree at the base level, fake world. Meaning, no real world could see to all this, a conspiracy generation machine, endless things to look at, nobody's ever caught. We just go on and on forever, do a whole YouTube channel just on this and the endless anomalies. If you're watching a truth channel and they're talking about the world like it's real, run for the hills at this point, guys, and I'm sure you already have. But I sample a few channels from time to time, and they're still talking about history being covered up. Really? Oh boy. History being covered up. Like at this point, there's so much false history and things you'd have to have 100 million people in on it, every book rewritten, every textbook and history book. Come on, sir. A history covered up, or the false history. They still talk, when they talk about mud flood or Tartaria, there's still channels talking about a hidden history, or like real men and women somehow hid it. Come on. You have got to be kidding me at this point. If they're not talking about the fake world, run for the hills. In a way, it is a hidden history. In a way, that certain things may be covered up, but in a supernatural way. Not covered up by men and women going into libraries. Let me see this book, that book, and this book. We're going to replace it with these books. It can't be done physically on the ground. That's what the Not Milk or platforms like this love channels like this. They would love, not channels like mine, channels like the ones I'm talking about. They would love my channel if I talked about everything being real. And at the end of the day, I kept saying, well, it's just the secret societies. It's just men and women pulling. Is there pulling it off? If I kept going there, like there's a real explanation for everything happening, my channel would be 400,000 subscribers. The Not Milk would love it. Well, Matt, why does it allow you to be here at all? I don't know. Like Michael, who's passed, Michael said once, there's somebody high up that likes you, Matt, or thinks you're funny from time to time, or you'd be out like shit through a goose. He didn't say that last part, although he was Canadian. Michael, we wish you the best. And we'll, again, for me to assume I'm in the superior position, let's not make that mistake. The living talk about the dead as if the living are in the superior position. You've got to be kidding me. The dead look back, these sons of bitches, these mofos think they're in the superior position. What a joke. Anyway, so Michael said there's somebody somewhere, Matt, high up that, that's just allows you to, they think you're funny from time to time. And whatever brand of jokes they like, you better continue along that brand, or you'll be out like shit through a goose. But these other truth channels talking about a hidden history or things covered up, and they don't say fake world. They don't have to use the same diction or the same choice of words, just in general notions that, look, we've seen enough. No real world could do this. 100 conspiracies a week, all pulled off, and they don't have to say it the same way I do, but are they saying it at all? If not, run for the hills, and if not, they're either working for the Not Milk, Or maybe they just know what, they're monetized or whatever somehow, or that they knows what they knows what pays the bills. They know what pays the bills, or they're just plain dumb, or just that's also it's the same group of people that I started with Spike Lee. Either you motherfuckers, or either those. I'm not going to say it won't load. Either those blanks across the street are fucking geniuses, or you three blankety blank blank are just plain dumb. Maybe a lot of these truth channels are just plain dumb. If you're not talking about the fake world, you're out to lunch. If you're a truth research channel, do I expect my Aunt Ginny to be talking about fake world? No, they're on the download from the Ship of Fools. Do I expect my friend Tony or whatever? No, they believe the news is mostly real, and it's trying its best to give you the information that you demand. They're on the frequency. They know not what they do. This isn't their time. It's okay. Be friends with them. Talk about the upcoming NFL season. It's okay. Half the city of Philadelphia is talking about a Philadelphia Eagles repeat. It's okay. Engage with them at the bar. It's fun. It's okay. It's not their time. Not going to be able to see it. It's okay. Feel fortunate, although we spend a lot of time in what we'd call our little mini hells, seeing what we see. It's very difficult on us, but if you wouldn't trade it, and most of us here wouldn't trade it or wouldn't want to go back into the matrix like Cypher, then we are the lucky ones. No matter how difficult it gets, we are the lucky ones. We have the opportunity to get it done, what we need to get done right now, whether it be for just you or if you're a small part of a larger spiritual being. You have the opportunity to get it done now because you see through everything. That is the best news of all time. This cartoon is also from Paul. I'd forgotten about this one. On my t-shirt there, Norm the Bathtub Rebel watches me. WICALS, the Worldwide International Consortium Against Lawn Signs. I forgot. I made that video where, what was the lawn? Stay safe, or I support the police, or certain lives matter. All the stuff in the my favorite. I forgot what it was. It was hate has no place here. We did the role play. I was looking for somebody in the household that actually where they would say hate has a place here. Is there anybody in there? No, hate has no place here. Could I talk to a neighbor that I need to find somebody along this block who would say hate belongs on this block? You obviously think hate doesn't belong because of your lawn sign. Is there another lawn sign I can find? I want to find the haters. How do I find them in your neighborhood? We did some sort of if you put back to where I was saying some of the conspiracy researchers and channels are out to lunch. If one of your neighbors has one of these lawn signs, like there's not only support Ukraine and there's support federal workers started to go up when they were all going to be fired. That was, everybody believed that story. All the federal workers going to be cleaned out under the doggy group's going to get rid of everybody's going to be out in the street. And I said, I didn't say anything we all didn't know. I said, you know what's going to happen? Nothing. Just like, didn't the United States attack Iran just a few weeks ago? And about 4 days later, it just kind of went away. Okay, yeah, I see. If you put back to what we were saying and finishing up with, and thank you again to Paul for all he did for us. If you put one of these lawn signs on your lawn, whatever it may be, you're one of the dumbest individuals to ever walk the face of the earth. Sorry, I forgot to check on Duluth and Dubuque to make sure they're okay, because the United States attacked Iran just a short time ago, right? Didn't the United States attack their nuclear facilities? So we should be going to the headlines every morning to see if there was a retaliatory attack or a whole new war started or a regional war, and it just kind of went away. It just that's right. They did a ceasefire, right? If anything were real, you're a country that can attack another country. Then after you do the attack, you just call ceasefire. Ceasefire! You can't attack us back. We called ceasefire. Oh shit! You called ceasefire? Oh heck! We had this whole retaliation coming. Oh, we're gonna have to. And Israel's like, they're not withholding the ceasefire. Ceasefire? Well, it was all planned out by Notnook a long time ago. But headline. U.S. wholesale inflation was unchanged in June, despite the tariffs. No price increases, really? Despite the tariffs. But I went and got a big pack of paper towels. I checked them out. The whole pack, it was $30 for paper towels. And then I took them out to the car and I spilled my Coke. I had to blot it up, so I had to open up the pack of towels. And then I opened up an individually wrapped pack of towels. And it was only 4 towels around the cardboard. I used all 4 towels to blot up my spilled spilled Coke, and I got right down to cardboard. I said, I ain't paying for this. I went back and said, I want my money back. Well, you used them to blot up your spilled Coke. We're not giving you your money back. But there was only 4 towels around the cardboard. I had to use the cardboard to finish blotting up the spilled Coke on my seats. Sorry, sir. There's no returns once it's opened. But the headline wouldn't lie to you. Don't believe what you experience every day out there in the world. You believe this headline. No price increases. Even, it says despite the tariffs, despite the $1 trillion that was printed just in the last 10 days. No price increases. Now get on out there. You take your families to Wendy's. What you got in the wallet? $60? That ain't going to be enough. You taking the families to Wendy's? What if they get an extra son of Baconator? You put the extra 20 in your wallet. You take $80 to Wendy's if you're taking the family out. You don't believe that. Believe the headlines from CNN. They wouldn't lie to you. Returning to the main point and the point I started with, and also to summarize, only a tiny little fraction of the population will ever be able to see through this reality, see what it's truly for, why it's here, the roles of the different players, and their place in it. And I was going to say it gets worse, guys, but it gets better. The better term is better. It's the best news of all time. Only a tiny population will ever be able to see through what this reality is truly for. And it's a tiny population that exists right now. It's people like you, and people like me. It's us inside the general population. The general population, of course, can't see what this reality is truly for and their place in it. So just cast them all aside. We're a tiny little group here. But I want to say it's worse than that, but let me just stick with the worse because it makes the point better. But I should be saying it's better than that. It's worse than that. Let me stick with that sort of theme, although this is the best news of all time and it is not negative. Of that tiny little group, those rowing away in the lifeboat right now that can see what this reality truly is, what it's here for, their place in it, what the adversary's out to do. Okay, what are we in terms of the general population? In terms of even the general truth population, currently, right now, as we speak, investigating their mud flood bullshit and all the crap they're wasting time on, we're only 10% of the general truth population. The general truth population that doesn't believe the news is only 1% or 3 to 5% at most. If you put it in a general sense, that doesn't believe the news and is skeptical of everything and don't believe that how wars started is exactly as history books say, that's only 3 to 5% of the general population. So we're inside the current reality, the current time period, we're a fraction of a fraction, okay? But then you have to compare that with everybody that ever will come in the future. Who's we? Me and the Britney Spears personalities? I've already demonstrated and shown you that in just a few years from now, not only will the AI blur everything and people will take the brain chip or go too far down the digital yellow brick road. They will be lost. They'll have no chance to know who they really are or what this place is for. They're already lost. So future generations are even more at risk. What word do you want? They're even more screwed and doomed or whatever if there's only a 1% chance now, those in the future, what chance do they have? When they come out of come out of the mother's womb, maybe it won't even be that. It'll be like an assembly line, and the brain chip will be one of the last things they'll get before they even scream, "Dada! Dada! What brain chip?" I mean, they'll give the brain chip on the first day before the mother can even hold the baby for the first time. It'll have brain chip. What chance do they have? None. Well, I don't. Matt. Okay. We have to be careful in the language we use. Because the not-nil could be using us to craft reality in the future. I'm aware of that, but I need to stick to this point. We'll deal with that later. If we have the ability to craft reality as real creator beings, then we have the ability to change up whatever will come in the future. We'll work on that. I'm not going to deal with that right now. So we're this little population inside the general population. In terms of the future, who's going to be able to see through reality? No, next to nobody. And how about going back in the past? We go back to the farmer in the field. Okay, some recognize they're a spiritual being, and that's great. But understanding what the reality is and what it's for, almost nobody did, of course. So it's just us. right now. Could you imagine how bizarre this would sound if anybody was stumbling upon this video? Honey, this is the most arrogant son of a bitch of all time. I stumbled upon this video. He thinks he's part of a little group that can see through reality, and nobody in the future will be able to, and nobody in the past can. It's just him and like 7 people, him and 50 people, and they want to go to a not milk-free zone. This guy's truly nuts. It would sound that way, but you know what? It's accurate. Are we a little group inside of the truth community? The truth community is still chasing their bullshit, right? We're a little group inside that. The rest of the population, we're a little group inside that. Just to demonstrate it, nobody in the future is going to have a chance. And the past didn't know because they couldn't share information. And not just that, reality was more professional in its presentation. The person in the field who in the distance saw the king's castle, it just made sense to them. The reality hadn't broken down the way it has broken down before our very eyes. We're not that smart. It's given itself away. How smart are we? It's flashed us. Ew! It spread its raincoat and flashed us. And it's Ken. There's nothing there. It's Ken. It's flat. It's flashed us. Either way, it's revealed what it truly is. We're not that smart. I'm not that. It's just giving itself away. It's desperate at this point or whatever. It's trying to reach some sort of a sick finish line. So, yes. And then inside even our group, those that are right here, I'm saying only age 40 to say 70 something. Because I'm talking about 20 years in the future. I'm sorry, very few are going to live to be 100. Sorry. So it's 20. I'm not trying to exclude people in their late 70s and 80s. There are many here. I'm talking about, say, a 20-year period in the future. I probably won't be around. That's fine, as long as there's no pain. Considering that's a big issue with me, considering what I recently went through. I didn't even think that sort of stabbing pain was even humanly possible. We'll talk about that some other time. And then those in the past had no chance. So in this video, I talked about what are the chances from a statistics standpoint, if you believe history is real and everything, that we exist right at this moment in time. Many would say 1 in hundreds and hundreds of billions. Matt, if one of your ancestors, even just 4 generations back, with his musket in hand, instead of taking the beach in that battle, decided to, say, run off with another man, you wouldn't exist, because running off with another man doesn't really propagate the bloodline very well unless things have changed. At least back then it didn't, before test tubes and stuff. So even one little zig instead of a zag of your ancestor, and you wouldn't be here right now. I know people would say, Matt, the spirit would still come into another body and you still would experience it, but in another. Okay, yeah, I understand all that. But just saying statistically, the chances of you being alive at this time, if you look at all the possible relatives, if Darwin is real. Of course, I'm eventually getting to the rule of opposites, like we talked about earlier in this video. It's 1 in 200 billion that you're here at this moment in time. Well, if the statistics are that, or the probabilities are that low, then the rule of opposites tells us, and a lot of other common sense factors tell us, that it's not 1 in 200 billion that you're here alive in 2025. It's just 1 to 1. It was always destined and guaranteed to be so. But the same works, or that's this same little statistical exercise works for what we're doing now. What are the chances that we're able to wake up in this little tiny window where the people 20 years from now, because of the brain chip or whatever, won't be able to, in the digital world, and the people in the past didn't have access to this and that, and the reality was better at its presentation, or more professional, or the metaphysical reality was different in the last century? What are the chances? It's also revealed itself in this tiny little window to us. Oh, aren't we lucky? 1 in hundreds of billions. We just happened to live and exist during the time when we had access to the technology tools to share information amongst ourselves. The reality completely flashed us and gave itself away. It broke down. Fluid reality, Mandela effects, whatever it may be. The reality's become a complete clown show joke, because it had to be. What are the chances? Oh, aren't we lucky? Oh, that's a 1 in 100 billion. No, it was 1 to 1. It was always meant, then it means the rule of opposites. It was always meant to be for us. If that's not the greatest news of all time, I don't know what is. Thanks for listening.